That means that going down the totem pole just a little bit means that different bans could potentially be targeted as well.
Yeah, so I mean, our question then changes to which of our junglers are going to sort of step up, or what role really is going to step into needing that first pick role. I mean, Sion has been banned away, so your tanks become a little bit less sought after. Maybe we see Cassante coming through. Bin had a pretty ropey game #1, so he might be feeling a little... He's not going to be feeling shell shocked. He's absolutely fine. But it's about what it is that BLG want to do to upset the status quo, because JDG had a massive performance from Jun, massive performance from Peyz. Yeah, I didn't think he'd be returning to tanks. This seems very much in line with what I would anticipate.
Yeah, with that Sion off the board, with things like the Rumble already not available, the Yorick rises up a lot in priority. We'll see what the response is here for BLG. That Pantheon's been a very high prio jungler. We've also seen things like Shen actually play into the Yorick pretty well and be able to, match the side laning a little bit while being able to join the fights a little bit quicker.
Yeah, and I mean, like, the idea that you can use Shen to not just be that side lane split, but also move into the team fights really well as well with that Stand United definitely adds up. I love this pickup of the Pantheon, though. I think the Pantheon Yorick is such a powerful 2v or powerful 2 picks to take together, just because you can sync up so well with one another. It's a really good denial pick as way from Jun here. Still gives him a lot of early game agency as well, which is something that he used so very well in that first game. And giving Peyz the Kalista again, a champion that we've seen him work so very well on time and time again. Well, the question becomes now, what is it that JDG pair this Kalista with? We've got still things like Renata open and available, so maybe BLG look to take an Enchanter pairing and an AD carry that's going to pair well with Renata and snipe that here.
Ash Renata, that's a pretty classic pairing as well. You can do very well into the Kalista specifically, right? When you can use the volleys to slow down the attack speed as well as the movement speed. So Peyz could be a little bit handicapped in this game, as we'll see what JDG want to finalize their first rotation with. They already have a jungler and AD carry. Looks like they're thinking about top laners at this point to match up into the Yorick, make sure they don't get targeted in that second ban phase.
And it's a pretty decent philosophy to be going by, and giving Arla the Jax here gives him a little bit of an opportunity to try to fight back. You can also W or auto W breaks you out of the cage very quickly. You've also got a quick Q to get out if you've not got that cooldown available to you. So plenty of ways that the Jax can navigate the Yorick as well, and worth remembering as well that all of Yorick's damage pretty much at the very least comes from autos. So if you put up the helicopter, you spin around, you dodge all those auto attacks, again, Bin could struggle quite heavily in this 1v1.
And yeah, another champion that can match the splitting of the Yorick a little bit. In terms of dueling power, at the very least, I feel like a lot of Jax's power is not necessarily in his wave clear ability or his, quickness in pushing out waves like Bin will be able to utilize on the Yorick, but in that 1v1 situation can jump over the wall of the W and do a nice job there onto Bin. So we'll see how that matchup does end up working out, as it looks like junglers are going to be targeted now here against Beichuan, who definitely had himself a bit of a rougher first game and is going to need a nice turnaround in order to help BLG get back to even footing in this best of game.
I think that if I'm looking at this composition, what BLG need is like a true engage style mid laner to come through for Knight. I'm looking at things like Yone might actually work out quite well, which makes a little bit of sense for why they would ban that Sejuani. But then something like a Galio over the top as well. They want some support for this Yorick as they move into that mid and late game, and enable Bin to be on that side lane and really pop off there. So having something that has a little bit of side lane control, maybe a semi-global, maybe even a Nocturne comes in here, and then an AP threat in the mid lane for Knight. There are a lot of tools that we could see BLG go to facilitate this Yorick and send us to that game #3. For JDG though, I mean, this would be a pretty good pairing and gives them a lot of flexibility as well, if JDG are looking to be a little bit flexible with it.
Some point and click here in terms of just some easy crowd control, some easy damage. Kalista Annie used to be something that popped up every once in a while. So that's a good shout out there, Rude. We'll see if Missing is willing to pick that one up. I think Scout has been, more often the player to, select this champion specifically since we've gone into this new patch. As BLG still need a jungler, they still need a mid laner. Looks like Beichuan down the tier list has found the Skarner as something that can provide even more lockdown here for BLG.
Wow, okay. Yeah, so it's, I mean, and this was a Beichuan classic as well on Thunder Talk as well. Like, I remember him specifically just dominating on the Skarner in split number 1. So getting that picked up for him makes a lot of sense here. And again, talking about that semi-global capability, not the greatest from the Skarner, but you can, you know, use the E to hop through walls and get a little bit creative with your gank angles. BLG looking for that scaling to round out this composition with, so if we go late, we know that we're going to see Knight do damage. And we can expect to see JDG trying to do that damage earlier on. Question is, where is this Annie going? Is it going to be a support pickup for missing here to answer the Renata, or is it going to be a mid lane pick to deny this Victor?
Or something completely different. I mean, we don't talk about hovers, but that would be a weird one.
Yeah.
Overall, I do like what BLG have done to really counteract the likes of a Kalista, a Pantheon that want to be diving in on you.
Okay.
Looks like it's going to be missing on the Elise, so they're really going all in on this full engaged dive composition. And I feel like overall, that is playing exactly into BLG's hand.
Yeah, like they've picked 4 divers here. I mean, 5 divers. Annie doesn't want to play defensive. 5 divers versus Renata, Victor, and an Ashe who can... So the Ashe slows you up with volleys. The Victor puts a W down. The Renata ulties you all. I think that by pick 5, right, JDG are already committed. They can't all of a sudden lock Janna and expect it to fit. But it's going to be tricky. It's going to be tricky.
The early game has to go, like, immaculate if you are JDG to have any real chance in this one, I fear. Is the kite back for BLG is big. The late game damage from BLG is big. The side laning from BLG could even be better depending on what this York versus Jax matchup actually does look like. And if it does work out for BLG, we could be headed to game 3, which I'd be happy about. You know, this is our match of the week. It'd be kind of a little bit anticlimactic if it was just a 2-0.
I would be a little bit for all the JDG fans out there who have been, you know, newly recruited off the back of game number 1. I would be a little bit scared if they're not going to 2-0 here, just looking at the compositions in their own right, and that game 3 is looking very, very likely here, just based off of what we can see from the compositions acting with one another. But that's not to say that Jun can't pop off in this early game, that Missing can't go crazy on this Elise early on and set Peyz off to the races.
Game number 2 between BLG and JDG. JDG winning that first game in their home arena in Beijing. As you can hear the Jayos come through. 2 of the most storied organizations here in the LPL in the 2020s. 2 of the most successful in just the past couple of years. And teams that have not necessarily hit their full stride just yet, are still waiting to fully get into things in the 2025 season. Getting a win here at the end of the split 2 double round robin would certainly be a good signal for either.
So resolve second here, it's worth looking at for Peyz. So he's looking to, well, knows that he's going to be struggling his way through this laning phase, and that he and Missing are going to have to pull out some pretty wild maneuvers, some spectacular plays to get themselves into a good spot. As really, I mean, Peyz and Missing, they were maybe not expecting them to walk straight through try, but they did anyway. And whether or not they caught the Elise walking in here, well, they definitely know where Missing is now. I was just quickly looking, Grapes, to find those Annie buffs or the Annie changes that come through. My favourite thing I think about patch changes is that these weren't labelled as buffs for Annie. They were labelled as an adjustment. Because they gave her damage on Q and W, but they lowered her base health, so it was an adjustment.
Right.
Yeah. Yes.
Exactly. Surely the damage is not the more important part of this one, as has been a lot of Annie in competitive play. Maybe you know, sometimes the little adjustments are just maybe reminders that the champion exists, and you know, sometimes it's a little bit of that. But I think it's pretty on display how much damage this Annie really does do, especially once she hits level 6. So I feel like we're starting to see some of the patch changes really come up.
Yeah, and I mean, they did lose, or Annie did lose a little bit of damage on the follow-up from her ulti as well, so the initial burst still hits just as hard. However, The damage over time that Annie's Tibbers does is now a little bit weaker. But Tibbers also got a magic penetration passive. So, you know, like, maybe we can argue the benefits on either side.
Definitely feels strong, especially if you can one-shot somebody. It just feels so good. I mean, you know the feel. Everyone has had that experience, you know, getting just one-shot by an Annie.
Yeah. She builds full tank, one-shots you anyway.
Yep, exactly.
Do you remember Righteous Glory?
Righteous Glory, Annie support. That was like that was like one of the first metas that I actually watched back in season 5. Man, what a time.
I think 6 maybe, but yes. Yeah. Righteous Glory Annie support was amazing. For those of you that don't know, that didn't watch League back then, Righteous Glory was an active item that gave you movement speed when you walked towards enemies. So it was the go-in button.
It was great. It was like Shirelia's like tankier, and so like it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Okay. Jun's here.
Oh wow! It's an immediate flash on tonight.
All right.
Force the flash out of the Victor. Didn't feel like they had enough damage, especially with no stun available for Scout. He already used it.
Oh!
And onto Elk, actually, they go with the Cocoon. Will allow for the Ash to take a tower shot. So
I was like, why didn't they commit? And then I remembered what Renata's W does. And that they would have probably both died had they have committed. So, the power of Renata there, folks, right there. Case in point. Good thing that those guys know what they're doing.
So, we're getting action, but no kills so far in this early game. Health bars chunked very low up top side. Both of these guys, they want to fight so badly here. Ala was thinking about leap striking in, but he knew he didn't have enough damage. It was not a lethal threshold. So instead, he's going to try his best to try to shove this wave. There's no shun. He's going to get spotted here on the Tri-Brush ward. As there goes the controller to make sure he does understand the fact that he has been caught out. Missing. And Peyz are just going to try to get this wave in as fast as they can.
I mean, honestly, I think that the sooner that these guys can get a recall, like the being Peyz and missing, the better. Hold on.
Extra movement speed for Sean. They're going on to the flashless Renata, but Beichuan is here at just the perfect time, allowing for Elk, the Rangers' focus to continue to try to kite and take Jun low, but not enough for anybody on JDG to fall.
Wow, and again, double flash is burned. This time it's BLG that lose out on the trade, as JDG are going to be very happy with that little exchange. I was just talking about the fact that I think that this lane for Missing and Peyz is going to be pretty tricky until that first recall. If they can go back, get some tier 2 boots, I do start to favour them in that 2 versus 2, and now they get to take that fight when they both have no summoner spells, or when there's no flashes at the very least. That all of a sudden becomes much more beneficial for the bot lanes of JDG. Initial recall comes through, straight call up with that Maiden from Bin. TP's down onto that bot side, and it's matched by Ala, who's going to TP down into that bot lane. Same thing with a Phage and Scout. He's fine. Okay.
He has the move speed with the E. He's not going to end up getting first down by that Arcane Storm. You could see that Elkanon also knew that, hey, maybe it's time to get away from this Callista, but nicely done by JDG to kind of call their bluff and match on the top side. Now Shun and Missing are looking to try to collapse on tonight, or at least help Scout get out of this lane, because without teleport, he is very vulnerable and would lose a lot if he does have to go back to base.
So making sure that he's at least a little bit safer in that situation of the mid lane. Both AD carries go back to base, pick up their tier 2 boots. These are probably the 2 single AD carries that you will see insta-rush those tier 2 boots. Martial Cadence means that Callista can now hop a lot more, and Arla now looking for a bit of a fight bot lane.
Throws out the Grandmaster's Might. The Maiden is helping out Bin. It's a 1.5v1, but right now that is good odds for the Yorick. As now, in the mid lane, it is Knight going too far, and Shun picking up first blood for JDG.
And once again, Jun strikes first. The JDG jungler sat with 11 MVPs so far this split, looking to add another one to his docket. Ala caught by the slow.
Beichuan.
The leap strike out.
Ixtal's impacted to try to find him as he knocks him into the wall. Not an impale at the ready though, so there's no more lockdown. It's just going to be a flash forced out from Ala. As now Beichuan and the rest of BLG are going to try to control the bot side of the map, going towards that scuttler and maybe looking towards the dragon.
And you can see that actually this mid lane matchup isn't going as well for Scout as we might have liked. This Victor answer to the Annie is doing pretty well. Despite that kill going down, Scout's behind in experience, he's behind in CS as well. And then getting a little bit worried for this JDG composition, right? Like, we talked about the fact they need to be snowballing early. 1 kill in 7 minutes is a good start, but they need to find more, and this Annie is going to get outscaled by a Victor. Scout goes in, Flash Tibbers, classic combo. Let's Jun do the rest.
Press the outplay button. As, yeah, this results in Jun getting the kill. Another nice opportunity picked up for this mid jungle of JDG. Remember, they were so influential on that Ari in game 1 in terms of finding their team the win. Situations where maybe it looked like BLG were more favored, but you know, they were still able to find these plays. It's a little bit less kind of easy to combine this time around, but now that Shun has that Starfall, we'll be able to combine with Scout on plays more easily. As BLG on the top side are going to start up these grubs. We'll see if Shun wants to go in with the Grand Starfall to try to steal one of these away, or if he's instead going to focus on clearing out his camps with Peyz and missing one of the head back to base.
Yeah, and Scout also just recalled into that mid lane, so not really the power on this top side to try and fight the individual laning advantages that BLG have found so far are proving to be enough to bleed into now these neutral objectives, as BLG swapped up to this top side to secure grubs, which is going to be the Yorick quintessential moment where you want your Yorick to have grubs so that he can side lane more effectively, can take these turrets. And now I expect to see those recalls come through. Yeah, you can already see on the minimap, Bin moves up to that top side, Elkanona go back to the bot side, and now an Enchanted Crystal Arrow.
Oh, it hits it on the Scout. I was kind of not expecting that to land, but has got enough time for missing to get here. Grand Starfall comes out there looking for Knight, forcing the flash by utilizing that Grand Starfall.
I don't know how an ECA hitting Scout mid lane forces Knight to flash defensively. That's just baffling to me. Either way, that's a testament to why you ask your mid laner, do you have lethal? Because Scout's items so far are a Doran's Ring. That's how offensive he's built, because he's got a tier and he's got Merc Treads. So he's nowhere near close to taking down this Annie through a Molten Shield.
This is like season 1 Victor, right? We're not at the late game form just yet.
No, yeah.
The situation where, you know, he's still scaling, he's still learning, picking up more spells as he goes along. Not having all the upgraded abilities as well is going to be a bit impactful there too. So yeah, Knight is going to take a while, but I think if we do get to the point where Knight becomes strong, that is where JDG definitely will be facing that trouble, as it means that BLG has scaled, and we again favor them scaling-wise in this game.
Coon hits, but nothing to come from it, as Jun considered stopping hitting the ward, and then kept on hitting the ward. There's a Drake that has spawned, so we're looking to see who it is that can come out from this fight around the dragon, it looks like. Looking at those items, a Fiendish Codex picked up, and still just sat on tier 2 boots for our ADs, a little bit of AD on either side, but with JDG having started it, looks like a support recall coming through, means that they're the ones that are going to take this for themselves, and now looking potentially on tonight. Remember, he's got Merc, so CC is a little bit weak.
But doesn't have a flash. Missing. Almost had the cocoon. And now with the repel up, actually putting himself in some danger, as Knight doesn't have a lot of
Scout's
items,
got
but
flash.
Still has some base damages. But Knight, remember, is flashless, and there goes Shun, there goes Tibbers, and that's another kill picked up for the JDG jungler.
And it's just so disappointing that Knight has to fall like this again, where he's absorbed one gank, and then there's a second one coming, right? He should really know better at that stage, because the Drake's just gone down. The Pantheon can still be on bot side, and unfortunately the rest of his team couldn't make it in time.
Oh, got it.
Yoink.
I thought he was gonna try to like smite it from inside the bush, like a little sneak attack, but he showed his face. Nicely done by Beichuan to kite out and at least make that happen for Shun. So far, JDG have found kills. The BLG farming up nicely, specifically on this top side, as we have not seen the counter matchup that Alla picked with this Jax do too much into the Yorick yet.
No, I mean, he's down 25 CS at this point. Like, the thing that we've seen Alla happen is lose, which is not what you want from your counter matchup. So maybe a little bit more help coming in his way.
Yeah, and if they can find a kill on the bin, it would be big, but that cage, it just makes Shun unable to find anything, and the ghouls are doing so much of the Alla that once Shun dashes in, It's just too much DPS from Bin to make anything happen. Oh, Enchanted Crystal Arrow. Force is missing to use the repel, but now he gets flashed upon. Handshake, how you doing, man? As there goes the hostile takeover, and Missing is taken down, and Bin collects the gold. They're looking for Ala as he's forced to flash away, and Shun is now trying to clear out this wave to make sure he cannot get dove.
And that is what we're after. The second BLG start to play together. They make these fights look easy. Jun now going to die. There's a TP in.
Yeah, the Impale already used. It's on to the Pantheon in a 1v4 situation. Not going to go well as Bin gets kill number 2 for himself as the mid laner's dueling it out a little bit. Scout flashes in. Oh, he finds the combo as Knight dies for the 3rd time this game.
Gets disintegrated by Scout. A 3rd death for Knight, but again, I'm looking at this gold disparity, and Knight's died 3 times to this Annie combo, but he's only down 300 gold. Like, this isn't having the impact that JDG need it to. BLG are still up on gold. The rest of the map is still going more than fine, and I don't think these kills are particularly consequential.
Because, you know, as Knight was going for the fight, he was also in the process of taking a ton of turret plays for himself, so almost going net neutral on this.
Yeah.
Would have loved to get the kill on the Scout as well.
And it's a good flash to dodge out on the laser, it's worth saying, from Scout, so, you know, the mechanical execution is still there for the Annie. But it's still just a question of JDG needing to snowball this game, and honestly, the fact that they're behind at 14 minutes in is really damning for them. They probably just slowly bleed out and lose. They've probably got 5-6 minutes left where their composition is still relevant. I think first item power spikes are going to be big for them. So on that Blade of the Ruin King, on that Luden's being finished, they have an opportunity to find a fight and start to push their lead. But just look at the laning advantages that they've got. 7 plates for BLG, 0 plates for JDG. The individual lanes were winning for BLG when JDG needed to have those winning lanes.
And it's all about finding these early kills and finding these picks here if you're JD Gaming, most notably off of this Annie and the Callista lane and all that. But even though they found them, it hasn't resulted in anything more than just the kill gold specifically. There's no CS leads that have opened up. Everybody on BLG is farming up nicely, and that is not a good sign, as JDG were clearly on a timer once we got into this game after seeing the drafts.
Maybe the Herald is going to be that window where JDG looks to find it. Malignance even picked up for Scout. Peyz still not with that Blade of the Ruin King just yet, so he's not going to be popping off in these team fights just yet. Jun caught in the cage.
Yeah, and there goes a 2-man Impale. Everybody caught in the crowd control chamber as the hostile takeover goes on to Missing, and Bin will smite him down with a shovel. It's a double kill picked up for the Yorick, and he is very strong here in this game. Has all 4 kills for Bilibili Gaming. They're going to get the Rift Herald as well.
Yeah, he's digging graves left, right, and center right now for BLG, just tearing JDG to shreds. Second he finds a target, they get taken down, and this combo of Skarner and Arta, we've seen it a couple of times in the LPL already, but BLG seems to be nailing it time and time again. Beichuan holds them in place, the hostile takeover keeps them rooted for another couple of seconds, and it's more and more power going the way of BLG. They thought that game 1, you know, they'd had a bit of a stinker. They've shocked themselves, really, with how well it didn't go. And now JDG, with this really aggressive early game composition, have put themselves into a hole that they are not ready to climb out of.
They got to keep looking, though. Got to keep trying to find fights. But we undershot that a little bit there, Shun, as there's a lot of opportunity for Bin to walk out on that one.
So a swing and a miss for JDG, and the more of those that we see, again, the less and less we like their chances.
Yep.
Arla going to get interrupted by the ulti, should just be fine to hop on out of here. I think Knight's just letting off some steam, to be honest, just ulting like that.
Gonna result in JDG getting a dragon potentially here, as there goes a Cocoon. They have found the pick onto On, but it's just onto the support. They send Missing forward and it forces Elk to flash away, but now the volleys can't come through, and the kiting can start to be used in response. Bin coming in with the TP, or just running into this dragon pit, is gonna get stunned up and taken down by Shun. JD Gaming somehow able to secure themselves the dragon and a fight.
And this is what we were saying, that this is their time to do it, right? They're on such a fine window where they can still find these fights, so they are forced to do it around this dragon, and finally they actually come away with a net positive play. They find a couple of kills, they find that dragon as well, they keep the stacks going, It's good. It's a great start, but is it enough? They take down Bin. I think that 400 or the 4-kill shutdown is the biggest part of this. And actually taking out the Renata through that support item as well. Really impressive. Elk actually getting a good flash over the wall is also very important. And look at live though.
Oh! That is just Elk going down. Remember, he used his flash in the last fight. Shun forcing on the flash away. And now BLG could be in some trouble. Bin has the flash out. There goes Scout with the Incinerate. This bailout is not going to be able to save the Yorick as Ala goes for the flash.
That's
it's
three
more kills for JDG.
And Knight now, the one standing under this turret. Beichuan still there, still lurking to try and help him out. But Ala's on a flank. Scout's on another.
Scout finds the Timbers. It's on the Knight. That's another one. It's going to be an ace. Picked up for Bilibili. Or onto Bilibili.
A 5-4-0 and JDG come alive off of one Drake fight. They turn the entire game back around. They knew that Elk had no flash. Jun just spots him out in mid lane. Flash on top of him to take him out over this wall. Incredibly that he got caught by the handshake to begin with and still finds his way in. It's Peyz once again with these crispy cleanses and the footwork on the Callista to keep himself A, safe, but B, constantly dishing out damage. And Scout on this Annie as well. A double stun there, finding the flank on the next cycle round when they can go under this turret. Finds the stun onto Knight as well. And JDG, I mean, you just wonder where did it come from this game, because they looked like to all the world as though they were just going to slowly bleed out and lose. And then 17 minutes hits, ding, 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 they're ready to play.
6 straight kills, right? Or maybe it was even more than that. I mean, JDG were in a very tough position just 10 minutes ago. But now they have a
4 minutes ago.
Lead. Yeah, even 4 minutes ago. Shun popping off again on this Pantheon against his old team.
Mm-hmm.
And that has just been the story of this series so far. This battle of the junglers, the battle of the former sub versus the current sub. It has been Shun having the advantage in both of these.
And that's what that's the story for this series, right? It's the, yes, two titans of former LPL glory, but Jun being bought into BLG to try to save their season at some point, and then not getting a spot on that same team for the next year, going back and saying, you should have kept me, you should have fought harder for my contract, and you should have looked to keep me on your roster. This is exactly why. This is what I can do for you. And I mean, in this game, he's popped off once again. In game number 1, he single-handedly carried the game. And I think that this time round versus Beichuan, who's had a much better game, I will say, but still not had nearly the same amount of impact as Jun.
And you can see right now our little JD solo queue predictor really thinks that their home team has the advantage here. And it makes sense. As the scaling or the snowballing composition, you're 3,000 gold up for 20 minutes. I think that's generally a good sign, as we really need to wait for BLG to get to a couple of items before they start to come on.
Second item's finished for Elk. Knight halfway through his Liandries, we'd like to presume, with that haunting guys in his inventory, but you've already talked about it. Looking at the flip side, you've got Rageblade finished for Peyz, you've got that Liandries also finished for Scout, so the burn damage really starting to come through. A Black Cleaver picked up for Jurum, so Peyz also dishing out a lot more DPS onto anyone who's been targeted out by Jun previously. And in all of these side lane interactions as well, it's Arla constantly forcing ulti after ulti out of Knight. Atacon now started the items in favour of JDG, and this is another fight that they're going to want to take, and another one where Scout, no flash just yet, sort of 20-30 seconds left on that summoner spell. That's the big ticket hitter.
I mean, if you're BLG, you want to try to stall this game out as long as possible, but if this Atacon goes over, it might be a deficit that could be pretty hard to come back from, and it already is at this point.
Ala?
They're going to try to lock down Ala, as here comes the Grand Starfall. The hostile takeover is big. Ala goes down, and the shutdown goes the way of the victor. A 2-man impale, but Peyz is still going to survive, but finally gets taken down by Elk as he gets saved by the bailout. Scout is down, and somehow BLG answer right back. They'll get themselves an ace, and the Unireverse card will find a quadra kill in the night.
And the victor, who's been destroyed this entire game, put in the dirt. 0-4-2 before this fight, tears JDG to shreds. A complete switch up from the fights previously. as we take a look at this replay. It's Arla with a very aggressive leap strike, hopping onto 3 people here, expecting Jun to get in time, but that's not the case. And then this Impale catches out 2. Peyz has to flash over it, but he flashes into the face of 4 people.
Just barely able to survive his Elk. That bailout buying so much time, allowing Elk to do so much damage on the Ashe as well. And then Scout, again, already used all of his abilities, will go down, and I'll take a look. That's going to be Knight picking up his Leandres and a full Seeker's Arm Guard as well. This Victor is starting to scale, and so are BLG. They want that game 3 here, Roodood.
And they're looking to send it to us as well. This issue with this JDG composition, the second they start losing those 5 versus 5s, is the second they've been outscaled, it doesn't really get better. They're going to have to now hands check once again. They already did it when they were behind. Around that mid lane, they caught out Elk on a mid wave that probably shouldn't have been caught out for and probably shouldn't have got taken out on. But they found it anyway. They now need to find that same creative angle. Remember, 4 early kills on tonight to put him behind the curve. Look how far behind he is, Grapes. He's a level up over Scout. He's 2k gold to the good. It doesn't matter at this stage. All of the gold is Jun.
Yeah, the Pantheon is still strong. However, Beichuan also has 2 completed items, and I feel like at that point, that's full build for Skarner. You don't need anything else. You can do your job. You can jump in. You know, you wish you have a little bit more stacks in the Heartsteel, but they haven't been fighting too much since that M has been completed. And yeah, just took that one fight, and now all of BLG are in the green, right? They are feeling good about where they are in terms of the economy, and the game continues to progress the way that it does. Again, this is the scaling point that we were hoping BLG were able to reach, and we've gotten there.
Yeah, and you know, JDG, they had, you know, one misstep, and all of a sudden the game just feels like it's right back out of their grasp, like it felt like 10 minutes ago at this point. So it's on them now to put that burden of execution back on their shoulders and make sure that they can find a play to get back into this game. It's not like they're out and completely out for the count, but odds are that BLG, if they play just a standard 5 versus 5 front to back, the champions that BLG have are simply better on paper and will function much better in that 5 versus 5. It's going to be much easier for them to find this win. Again, a reminder that Impale plus Hostile Takeover has been such a crucial part for both of these fights that BLG won, and that Beichuan has been able to find. Fight over this red buff could happen though. Here we go.
Oh, wow. Take a look at Shun. He might have dove way too far here. He's forced to flash away. The hostile takeover. It finds 4 people. That's bought so much time.
Though.
But now all in the back line. They find a 4-man knock up with the Fate's Call. And missing might have just helped BLG.
Bail out.
Go meet their
Elk's dead.
It's 3 for nothing. Back and forth we go. Get on the seesaw, baby. This is the LPL. Ala finds the stunner tonight. He's forced to go golden, but he will die all the same. It is Baron picked up for JDG.
And after On lands the massive hostile takeover, Arla splits up BLG and single-handedly carries that fight. Scout immediately down to the bot lane. They want more than just the Baron from this, Grapes. They're going to take turrets bot lane, look to push mid lane, push out top side as well. JDG, they know that the game is in their hands and they are looking to put it to bed.
This is going to be one of the craziest goal graphs that we have seen this split, and we cover the LPL. That is just how wild this game has been. It was 4,000 for BLG, 2,000 for JDG. Now it's right back up to 5. And I thought this play was sure to be doomed, as Shun was caught 1v4, but is able to get on out.
Yeah, he gets his E up initially, so he doesn't actually take any damage. And then as BLG cross through this choke, Arla catches 3 with the Fate's Call, and then a 4-man stun comes through from the knock-up as well. Scout isn't a part of this fight. The observers showed us him, zoomed in on him, because he was watching this game from the sidelines. This was Arla and Missing soloing, duoing even, this fight. And I think the Elise might have gone down, but that knock-up was all that it needed to be.
So that's Baron picked up for JDG. They got the full ace, and they now have the item advantage once again on their side. They need to do a lot off of this push, though, because we continue to say the scaling for BLG really does take effect. You know, we saw what that Renata was able to do. It was just positioned slightly better. If one little thing did not go exactly JDG's way, we'd be looking at a very different situation. And so they want to make sure they put themselves at a gold lead that is insurmountable here off of this power play that lasts for 90 seconds longer. They can find it onto On. They land the stun. They land the timbers. It's Scout that finds it. And the support for BLG is down for the count.
And now they've got no disengage tools, right? That Impale can do a good job at keeping people at bay.
Over the wall for the two-man stun. Here comes the Grand Starfall. They're going onto the back line. They find the Impale, and it will be the Pantheon getting shut down as Elk picks up a big chunk of cash. Peyz and missing are low. Scout still very high HP, and all is jumping over the wall looking for a little bit of extra damage. But BLG, they can continue to look for this fight. They can try to continue to shed some more blood. Peyz has been singled out, but we've seen the clips. We know that JDG can definitely still turn this one around. As we have the Dragon now spawned. It is 4 members still alive here for JD Gaming as they're still looking to push away BLG.
Okay, one of the unsung parts of this Annie's kit is that Molten Shield. It's not just self-cast now. Peyz can actually hop forward with a little bit of shield from the Annie and the massive amounts of magic damage and magic power that this Scout has. He can give a pretty big shield over to the Kalista. They turn around, they find Soul Point. Grapes, if you ask JDG what they wanted from this Baron, they'd have said the game. If you'd have asked BLG what they wanted from this Baron, they'd have said not to lose an inhibitor. Yep. The fact that they don't even lose their base is a massive win for BLG, and they will be happy to trade Soul Point for that.
When you take a look at the gold overall, it's 1,500 that you get from killing the Baron itself. So only net 600 going the way of JDG. I think it was around just 1 tower that they were able to get off of that Baron push. So that and the Dragon was JDG's reward. The question is it enough as now all has been singled out here. He's able to blast cone his way out. Oh, look at the moves on this guy. Double blast cone to dodge away from all the crowd control and all the lockdown that BLG had to offer.
Show that to somebody in 2022 and 2020 and they'd be baffled. How has he just escaped that situation? Nevertheless, BLG unsuccessful in their adventures and missing good Cocoon there. Keeps himself alive. But it's BLG that are pushing forward. Look at this TP though. TP right behind them. BLG see this, and now they know that they're routed.
This team composition is meant to disengage, but they're going to have a tough task at doing that as here comes the solo laners. There's a nice counter strike from Ala, but everybody on BLG still alive. Bayless onto Elk, but he will go down. The hostile takeover finds 3, but it's nobody on BLG that can do any significant damage. On will go down. Beichuan's already fallen. It is just Knight standing. He teleports back to the base, and that is exactly where JDG intend to head.
With 4 people dead and a tremendous flank, a double TP from the solo laners, JDG don't have Baron. Knight's got wave clear.
He gets stunned.
I think he's fine.
It's just he's dancing on it. Oh, whew. Don't do it to him, man. Down to the bot lane, we have to take a look at this game potentially ending here, as it is Peyz missing and Ala hitting onto this bot lane inhibitor. There's 10 seconds on the top side, 5 seconds on Elk. So the BM was just to buy some time to make sure Knight could not rotate down. So it's only 1 inhibitor taken off of that play, and they used a lot of teleports to use a lot of resources for it.
They did, but they come away with an actual map advantage this time, Grapes. And look at that gold lead as well. 6,000 gold almost in their favor. And it's the deep TP, the super flank from Ala. They saw it coming, but they could do nothing about it. How many people does he catch with this counter strike? It's 3 people to begin with. Elk flashes over the wall right into the waiting arms of Jun as well. 4-man? 3-man definitely. As Elk flashes over, Jun follows, and he's got the Renata W on him, great, but that hostile takeover, unfortunately, if your AD carry's already dead, is coming through far too late. We have to remember that On was just getting CC'd the entire time. There's not a lot that he can do in that situation. A handshake earlier might have been a deter. Ala again!
Ala again looking for Elk as the Ashe is already at half HP. A lot of trouble. Hostile takeover. It doesn't find the Jax. And there goes Ala onto the back line. Grand Starfall coming in as BLG are cut off in their own jungle. It's going to be Beichuan stunned up as he's fighting a 3v1 that he certainly does not win. Ala somehow still alive, but he gets shut down as it's the victor to pick up the kill. Knight flashing over the wall. Somehow BLG still has some life, but here comes Peyz. Peyz gets himself another, but Peyz will go down tonight. What a game this has been. It has been who's going to try to pick up the ace. Shot on the Pantheon. will not have
What's
his Guardian
happening?
Angel pop. The Comet Spear not finding the crit. What a game. It is just a one-man army that is standing for both JDG and Bilibili.
A 4-for-4, and it's JDG that can't execute. They're up 7k gold moving into this fight. But BLG stand firm. Knight, resolute on the victor. DPS after DPS just constantly keeping JDG at bay. And again, Arla trying to take this game into his own hands. Hops into 4 people. Dodges out on the handshake with a stasis. Flashes over the hostile takeover to take down Elk. As on with a misclick on the W, bails himself out as opposed to the Ashe. And at this point, you're just thinking the game must be over. But it's all eyes on Knight in this fight as he's kiting out Jun, kites out Arla and takes him down as well. A stasis from the Victor and a flash over the wall keeps him just safe enough. But then a bailout comes through. Peyz, with lust in his eyes, flashes onto the Renata instead of taking down Knight. And doesn't even get a chance to proc the bailout. Scout does what he can. And the fact that Jun comes back in here to try and find an extra bit of damage. I'm surprised he took down the Yorick, but he did it all the same. We're going to go back to live. There's a Drake Soul now spawned. It's JDG Soul if they can get it. Flashes across the board are pretty much down. We have Flash on missing, and that is it. The Elise is the one to
Scout
make the play.
Teleports away, actually, from the fight, so they're going to be okay, most likely, with BLG starting this Dragon up first. Remember, you saw how low those health bars were. A Chemtech Soul would be absolutely massive if you're JDG, but Shun is getting singled out right now, and there comes a ton of damage onto the backline. Knight has fully scaled up here, but here comes Ala. He gets handshaked away. On doesn't find the stub, and the Fate's Call comes through. There comes all the damage that JDG need. Elk is going to die. Beichuan is dead as well. Knight's able to find something, but now it's been stuck in a 1v3. Can the Yorick find a miracle play to save the game for BLG? Absolutely not. 4 strong are JDG with an ace picked up. They're going to march into the mid lane and give BLG their first loss of the second round robin of the LPL.
A second teleport from Arla to put BLG in the dirt. Peyz stands strong and JDG take the series.
3 straight series here for JD Gaming. They are peaking at absolutely the right time. As the win streak is over, the honeymoon is over. JD Gaming get the 2-0 over BLG.
An incredible series that delivered on both fronts. We got to see the highs of JD Gaming, what they can do as a 5-man band, and the power that they've got in this organization, in this roster of players. Everything that this team and the players behind it thought that they could be was shown here today. And for BLG as well, in that second game, we got to see a lot from them as well. So many clutch fightbacks, so many